Hey ladies, it is time for one of our spring quick tip guide videos. I just wanted to share with you really quickly, depending on what model Jeep you have is going to depend on some of the features that you have. So behind me, you're going to see my 2017 JKU Rubicon. I'm sure you've heard people talking about sway bar disconnect. There's a reason for that. That is for your off-road capabilities. When you take your Jeep on a trail ride, you want to disconnect your sway bar so that you are going to allow for more articulation, more movement, more use of your suspension. Always want to disconnect your sway bar when you are headed out for a trail ride. What does that mean? So I want to show you really quickly underneath this Rubicon. I'm going to show you if you have a Rubicon, what makes it different. And if you don't have a Rubicon, I'm going to show you what you need to know as well. So let me flip this around and we're going to go ahead and get underneath this Jeep and let's look together. Now under my stock 2017 JKU Rubicon. We're going to start with if you don't have a Rubicon. So if you have any of the other model Wranglers, and we are talking about sway bar and sway bar disconnect. So if you see, here's my tire, and you can see the bumper. If you come in the side of the Jeep, you're going to see this runs. This is an aftermarket bumper, ladies. But if this was the stock bumper, or if you're running an aftermarket bumper, it is going to look the same. It's going to be in the same position. It's going to be right behind your bumper. And you're going to notice the bar is going to run all the way straight across to the other side. Both sides are going to look the same. You're going to see you have your sway bar that is coming out. It has a curvature to it. And then you're going to see these are your sway bar linkage right here. That is what holds your sway bar in place. That means it's connected. Both sides are going to look the same. If you do not have a Rubicon, I highly recommend getting the quick disconnect. What that is going to do is that's going to change out this piece right here so that instead of having bolts at the bottom that you're going to have to undo, you are going to have a pin that's going to make it a quick disconnect, which means you pull the pin. This bar is now disconnected and it's much easier, faster, and quicker if you're going to be trail riding. Now, if this is a daily driver, you're never going to take it off-road. You don't need to worry about those quick disconnects until you get to a point that you want to be trail riding. But I still want to show it to you so you know where it is, what the functionality is. Another thing that I want you to know is if you are going to disconnect, you always want to disconnect this end where the bolts are, and you can see where it mounts to your axle. So you want to make sure that you're going to disconnect this end, not the top end. If you have a quick disconnect, a lot of times you're going to have a mount that this end will then pin into to keep it up out of the way. If you don't, zip ties are going to be your best friend, ladies. You're going to want to pull this up and actually just zip tie it to your sway bar. That way it's not flopping around, it's not banging into anything, you're not going to ruin the end, and it's held securely in place. Now let's move on really quickly. If you have a Rubicon, you are going to have a button inside your Jeep. So we're going to walk over there really quickly. I want to show you so you know what the button looks like. You're going to notice a cluster of buttons inside, which are going to be sway bar and axle lock. Now, if you have a JL, it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to be over by your shifter and your AC and all of that in your center. Older Jeeps will be as well. But so what you're looking for, if you have a Rubicon, no matter what Wrangler Rubicon you have, you're going to notice you're going to have a sway bar and an axle lock button. We're going to talk about this later. That's its whole own class. But so this is the sway bar button. So this is what you would use to actually disconnect your sway bar. When do you want to disconnect your sway bar? When you're going on a trail ride, when you're going off-road, you'll be in four-wheel drive, you're going to be driving slowly, and you'll go ahead and hit the button to disconnect your sway bar. If you have to do it yourself, you're going to do it before you start out on the trail ride, then you will reconnect it when you are done. So now in the Rubicon, you're going to see there's this right here. So you're going to notice the sway bar is a bar that goes straight across, but you're going to see what looks like a motor right here. That is what is going to disconnect when you hit the button. So in the Rubicon, it's not going to disconnect over here at this end. As you can see, it is going to disconnect it in the middle. So you can see the black box there in the middle. So this is going to be electronic, and this is going to be where your sway bar is going to disconnect. So it's a little different. You're only going to see this in the Rubicon unless somebody put this in as an aftermarket upgrade. A lot of times you won't see this as an upgrade. You're going to see somebody go to like an anti-rock, which is something we cover in our advanced training that I just wanted to show you so you could see the difference. When we start talking about sway bar and about disconnecting your sway bar so that you can see exactly where this piece is, what the ends look like, and the difference between if you have the Rubicon or if you have the ends to disconnect. Thank you for jumping on here with me again for our spring quick tip guide video. We are going to be going through so much information, nice small tidbits, easy to understand, quick videos for you. Keep an eye out from LadyJeepers.com. I'm Kristen DeLibero. Get out there and drive your Jeep. Let's build your confidence with knowledge, and I hope to see you on the next video. Keep an eye out. We have a bunch more coming up for you. Bye, ladies.